The real problem that earlier stage companies have is they don't need advice. They need people to do the work. And I'm seeing head nods because that's how I was too. And so a lot of times, like a lot of my advisory is just introducing you to the people that I would trust. And so I brought Maya because I can give a lot of really good advice, and I would go to Maya and be like, no, make this all happen. So what we're going to talk about today is how to get momentum.
From ABM to PLG, from Medic to MedPick, the world of business is constantly evolving. We'll cover the who, what, where, when, why, and most importantly, how you get the transaction. I'm Matt Amundsen, and he's Craig Rosenberg. Let's get started.
We invited Carilu Dietrich, who's on the far end here, way into the crowd, who is in our description on the video, did you see, I said CMO advisor to the SARS?
Yeah.
That's the way you're often described.
That is true. So yeah, she took Atlassian public. It's her first thing on your LinkedIn. So I don't know if Christina's still here when she was talking about stuff. And then, but now has been advising companies, founders, and go-to-market executives a lot in a given year. And as especially sort of, as her clientele has gotten towards the newer times, has a lot of relevant innovations that she's learned over the last year, is where every time I talk to her, I learn new things, which by the way, is awesome for someone who's an OG like Carilu. So it's really great. So we said, Carilu, can you come? And she moved her flight around and she said, hey, I've got this idea. I apologize. I've just met her just now. Great handshake. So it's Maya Spivak. And so Carilu's like, I've got the perfect person to bring on with us. And it's Maya. And we're like, yeah, bring it on. So that's our next conversation we're going to have is on marketing that works in today's environment. And that's why Matt is so excited. So welcome, Carilu and Maya.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And a big double thank you for Craig for making crazy things happen all the time, bringing all of us together and making ideas out of the air. So big round of applause.
See why I stayed on stage? I'm like, James, you're gonna have to sit down. I'm gonna need another compliment. So do you guys, well, first of all, it was really interesting when we said welcome, you guys almost spoke at the same time. You don't have to do that. Yeah, you guys didn't break it.
We're gonna sing in harmony at the end. This is our karaoke time.
But I do wanna see, do you guys have a good, funny B2B go-to-market story for us? You ready?
Is it combined?
We are ready. It's not combined.
Okay, good. Yeah, well, we like that. Yeah. Oh, geez.
And hers might be funnier than mine. We did some slides so we could show. I guess I'll just say I was at Atlassian and I advise both cool kids and not cool kids because cool kids don't really need you and not cool kids really need you and work really hard. So I totally agree with what Christina said about some of the best marketers are in really challenging roles because it's when the waves aren't lifting you forward. And I can really see that right now across all these AI companies because I advised The Lovable earlier this year and we brought Maya in to help with a lot of the brand work that we did. And Lovable is on this wave that is very much like the Atlassian wave. And everyone's like, it's your next Atlassian, where the road is being built before you. And in some ways, the marketing is less difficult than when you're really trying to figure out how to set up all the systems and be really efficient and really drive demand instead of just collect demand. So I think the funny story I was going to tell is that almost everything I've done that has been viral, I had no idea it was going to go viral. And I think it's just a testament, I'll share a couple of the examples, but it's just a testament to the fact that you just keep trying and putting things out there, and sometimes things are magical, and sometimes the things you thought weren't going to be magical, were going to be magical aren't, and it's really just the long game. And then also I have a Substack at Carilu.com, and so I made all these friends with people who have amazing Substacks like Lenny and all these other folks, and basically we have this ongoing conversation that going viral actually doesn't help you that much. What you really see is that consistency over a long period of time is what builds both pipeline and followers on Substack. So the funny one was that I don't know, I guess one of the funny ones is that Lovable's 2 most viral tweets in the first year of life were offhanded comments by the CEO when they were really small, offering to buy Figma, like just secured the funding to buy Figma when they were like seed stage, and they got like 4 million followers or 4 million likes on Twitter. And then another one where Figma had sent a letter of a cease and desist for calling something developer mode, and they posted the actual letter on Twitter to just like rant at an off time. Like, I can't believe they're trying to protect dev mode. And like Twitter exploded, of course, to say that that was a ridiculous big company thing and you shouldn't own dev mode. So all these things that you don't expect that someday go viral mean just keep at it.
Those were bound to go viral.
Yeah. I was going to say, those sound like viral tweaks now that you say it, but they were just off ramp.
I mean, definitely what I learned working with Lovable is that rage bait is the best form of social media momentum, which is something that most companies, founders, and certainly like late stage public, pre-IPO or public companies can't really do the same way as early stage startups. But I mean, I think all the time you'll put something out and be like, this is gonna be it, and it doesn't really work. So again, different story that's the same. I publish on my Substack almost every week. So almost every week I'm publishing on LinkedIn. And one time I wanted to run this course that's like an executive speaking course to speak simply. And so I posted on LinkedIn because I needed 8 more people to join the course because I had to upfront the money for 30 seats and my clients were going to take this course. And I was like, hey, I need 8 more seats. And I got 847 people that wanted to join the class. And it turned out to be my most viral tweet ever. So again, like, oh, if you ask people to comment and then they all comment like, download the book and I'll tell you on LinkedIn, I just like accidentally stumbled into it. So I think like, we should buy Figma is like something guys banter around the office, not plan. Oh, there it is. Those are the famous tweets. Figma says we can't use the word dev mode in Lovable. Okay, yes, yours.
Oh, thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Maya Spivak. I have spent the last 3 years running a brand marketing agency where I work primarily with small startups and sometimes very large startups like Lovable. Just wrapped up a 9-month engagement. Right now, I'm working with LangChain, Llama Index, High Touch, and Base 10. So a lot of the AI ads that in San Francisco people really love to comment on. If you're reading the news, they love to hate them. If you're talking to people in our industry, they love to love them. So it's a little bit of both sides. I work with a lot of those teams. So I'm a brand marketer. That's what I love. And I think it really started for me at Segment. I joined Segment when it was about 60 people, and I stayed 5.5 more years until there were 700 of us and we got acquired by Twilio. One thing that was funny that happened to us was our very first brand spend on out-of-home went slightly viral. And the reason is because, see, now it's been 10 years since this particular post happened. But 10 years ago, or now everyone's talking about, oh, the AI billboards, they don't make any sense. The New York Times is writing about how people can't decipher them. The SF Standard is writing about it. NPR last week was writing about it. I can't believe everybody still wants to talk about the same thing, that nobody understands them or everybody understands them. But 10 years ago, it was kind of funny that we wanted to make a point about what good is bad data. Segment is a customer data platform. It's no good if your data is bad, right? Everybody's heard this before. Garbage in, garbage out. You know the platitudes, you know the idioms. So we were playing with the idioms. What good is bad data? It's not good at all. Wouldn't it be a great demonstration of how bad data is if we put up billboards inside of San Francisco that said, "Good morning, LA," and just like shocked people on their commute, like, what? Before their coffee, what is going on? That's what we expected to happen, but we didn't expect that enough people would just not get it. And what I mean by that is people genuinely thought we made a real mistake. And people were like, you know, the good friends who don't want to embarrass you, they text you on the side. They're like, you know, you have a typo in your big ass billboard on the side of the 80 East. And then there are other ones who are like famous actors who I definitely had a crush on when I watched the entire series called Greek. Anybody? His name was Cappy. He's big in Hallmark Channel now. I don't know if you watch Hallmark movies. This definitely looks like a crowd of Hallmark movie watchers, but he's kind of a big deal on that stage. His name is Scott Foster, which is why he was attracted to this billboard in LA where he lives that says "Good Morning SF." But he also didn't get it, and he tweeted like, "Hey guys, like, did you mean to put this in LA? I'm genuinely confused." And the best part of that story was how many of his fans, fangirls like me, got into the comments and were like, "My bro, you just don't get it. If you were a data person, you would get it." And they were explaining to him, and then there was this whole flood of commentary, and that's probably the best thing that has happened to me on one of my brand campaigns. Can't wait for another instance like this, like 10 years later.
I mean, we got to give her a round of applause because she plans.
Thank
I will say it wasn't a great day for me that morning because my boss was like, "Why can't you have marketing like this?" And I remember it very distinctly when this went viral. I was working in a company called Everstring, and JJ Cardwell, who was the CEO at the time, was like, "That's the type of marketing we need."
Yeah, again, my virality has all been like unexpected things when you do everything, and yours like paid off from the start. So high five on that.
Also, Matt is a huge Hallmark Channel. Big time.
Guilty as charged.
Scott Foster, he follows him on Insta. That was great. Great story. Top 5?
Top 5 story.
Yeah, for sure. With the visuals too, huge. All right, so what do you guys got for us? Give us some things that you're seeing working in the market today, and clearly you guys are gonna have some fun doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I brought Maya along because I think for early stage companies, you know, I do a lot of that advisory where I'll go and work with the CMO and say, how do we help scale faster? What happens at the next stage? And that's really useful when there's homegrown talent or when there's a VP that's been hired who maybe is a first-time VP and hasn't run all the functions before. But the real problem that earlier stage companies have is they don't need advice. They need people to do the work. And, you know, I'm seeing head nods because that's how I was too. And so a lot of times, like a lot of my advisory is just introducing you to the people that I would trust. And so I brought Maya because I can give a lot of really good advice, and I would go to Maya and be like, "No, make this all happen." So what we're going to talk about today is how to get momentum. And the very first thing that gets good momentum is still the same. Great products that actually work and get word of mouth of. And if we go through everything, you know, linear, the reason I know about linear is because all the cool kids that I talk to are like, "Have you used this? It works really well." Like the whole "this is going to replace Atlassian" is a real thing that just people talking to me had. So it's not how much money they're spending on marketing. So I just always want to start here because nothing has changed in the world of AI that is different from great products that serve people's needs, that people love and talk about. And that goes to also to just having fantastic content, right? Like, you know, there's a lot of great ways to use AI, but at the end of the day, making great content that's practical, helpful, and insightful. So next, what is everything old is new again, but still new, is edutainment. So like what I would think was worked about your billboards is that they were entertaining. And when you look around, you know, we're like still in the age of billboards. Every founder wants to have their billboards in San Francisco. But what really stands out is sunny and entertaining. So do you want to talk about some of the recent campaigns? There's all sorts of campaigns.
For sure. So I want to give credit to PostHog because 2 years ago in 2024, how many of you saw the first campaign, which was like, "Have you been harmed by a B2B, you know, whatever? It took too long to get the pricing from the pricing page." You've seen them rolling around the city. That campaign and the way that they executed it was so like surprising that 2 years ago, I remember people, because I'm a brand marketer and I talk to other marketers and VCs and whoever, the only thing they wanted to talk to me about that month was, "Have you seen the PostHog thing? Have you seen the PostHog campaign? What do you think of the PostHog campaign?" Because it's so quirky. it was so out there and it's so new that they put their CEO or their co-CEO, co-founder on the board. He has a mustache, so they made him look like, you know, one of the Injury Brothers, and you know, they really went big with it. Yes, it's that guy. So here's the thing the reason I put those two back to back, if you just go back one, Post Hog in general is leading the way in terms of being bold and quirky and out there and big and loud. And founders see that and they're like, wow, we should do the same thing. Like we want to be like Post Hog. If I had $1 for every time somebody said that, it's the new, we should do our marketing like Stripe, or we want to do design like Stripe. Like that was the 10 years ago thing that you would hear all the time. We want to do our brand marketing campaigns like Post Hog. The When Life Gives You Lemons, who's your daddy? Like that is just crazy, big and out there. But this was 2024. Now if you go to the next slide, they brought it back. It's 2026. This is on the street right now. They updated it a little bit, I suspect, to make this design very overlapping with the injury attorneys in the area, with Sweet James, with Anne Fong, with the Injury Brothers. Like literally people are nodding because we see these ads all over the place. Why would they bring it back? It must mean something is working. And so if I could, I guess, skip to the part where you're like, what does that mean not to do? If you go to the slide that shows like, don't do this. Do not assume that because it works, like something about edutainment, something about accusing people of being injured by something, just because it works for Post Hog, that they brought it back, it's going to work for you. There's an ad on a bus. I took it 3 days ago. I sincerely hope nobody from this particular company is sitting in this room right now. It's called Sense Data or something like this. It says, have you been injured by a DB query? You need better something or other. And its colors are the same. Its format is the same. The structure of the prompt is the same. So they're just biting on somebody else's creative. Don't do that. We were asked to say things that you should do, but also things that you shouldn't do. Don't take away this like blanket of just because this particular message is landing in one way, it's definitely going to land for us too. And also don't bite other people's campaigns because it doesn't look good, it doesn't look right. We'll come back to the other stuff not to do.
That sounds great. So I would say, you know, one of the things that always irritated me, I worked for big companies, so I ran awareness advertising for Oracle, and it would be like, if it's less than $1 million, don't come to my office, and do all this extensive stuff out of home. And then I've worked for tiny companies where I was like, okay, well, we have $0, so let me call every conference 17 times and see if I can get my CEO to speak, because that's our advertising campaign. And so one of the things I think is interesting is we just shared Billboards, but really creativity can come in all sorts of different colors and sizes. And I think social media has really democratized things there. Again, because you can kind of go viral for something that is witty and entertaining. So these aren't also, I'm gonna share some more ideas, but these aren't small spend either. But what I like about them is the idea behind it could be taken to other things. So have any of you guys been at RSA this week? Oh my God, did you guys think RSA was like the Super Bowl of event activations? Like that show floor was hands down the best show floor I've ever been on. Like the booths were so crazy. There was a game everywhere. There was this one game, I haven't ever played it before, but I want to buy one for my house from whoever it was, from Sentinel One. It had like all these, it was like the, when you hit the,
Whack-a-mole?
Whack-a-mole, but it was a two-player game with lighting things, and these guys are playing it, so there's noise, and there's colors, and there's lights, and like, I don't know, J-Frog had this like wall that was all little tiny like stress ball frogs, and I was like, that's so cute. And then I came around the corner, and they'd made a custom Frogger game with like a frog as the like mover, and it's this like just immersive and fun and edutainment. And then Commvault, a company that I'm advising, had a wrestling ring and these wrestlers. And then the best part was it was an actual demo of resilience operations, technical things. He's like, are you ready to rumble? Let's talk about resilience. And so, there's a lot to get your message across of being interesting in edutainment. And I think in this TikTok world, edutainment has never been more important. Like, I think it's the basis of marketing. And then you get them in and do the white papers and the demos. And so the democratizing factor possibly is founder social. And we could talk forever about Lovable's founder social. I think Sydney shared all my tips already and used my slide. So if you took that picture, it's still there. This is a different picture of a deal founder. I zoomed in here because he has 10,000 likes on LinkedIn. Have you ever had 10,000 likes on LinkedIn? I mean, the most I've ever seen are like 300 or 400, right? Okay, there's a secret behind the secret. Because when I was at Lovable, we ended up working with this guy who helps you with your social for big things like your fundraise, and then also is like an influencer network. So this is where influencers and social come together in what? And after I worked with him at Lovable, I started seeing all these posts, and they all follow the same format. And then I'll text him and be like, is this you too? And he'll be like, it is. So this is one of his posts. And basically, he works with founders and helps them write their story. And I used to have 2 in here. I'm sorry I took it out. But the story is kind of the same for every founder post. It's like, we almost collapsed, or like, I grew up in poverty, or like, we were rejected 579 times, and then we walked barefoot across the desert, and then 19 times we got blisters, and then here's my founder story, which was Scott like nailed the founder story, right? Like I sat at the dinner table with my dad every night, and he couldn't throw the football because he was doing his accounting. And so I built better accounting for plumbers and electricians, right? And it's this story arc. It's really using the story arc. And it's not short, it's not educational, it's edutainment in social media. And then they follow the thing that was like my random act of virality, which is there's some sort of offer that like, comment here if you want the download of the thing that's some offer at the end of this long story. And then this particular person that founders can hire has a whole influencer network that both comments on it or like shares the story to juice the network, and then also gets people to comment on it as it's dying down. So like over the course of 24 or 48 hours, if your social post that's this like special one that you're gonna really make possible starts to slow down, he has an influencer network that helps keep it going. So you're gonna see, now that I've told you this, watch, it's some of the fundraisers or like biggest product launches, and this like combination of social media and influencer together.
If I can add something to that, you don't even have to have a consultant that gets you to 10,000 additional engagements. It probably helps, that you had a big controversy and had to move to Abu Dhabi so as not to get extradited for illegal activity, that there's a lot of eyeballs on your account. But that being said, I've recently been talking to a lot of customers, the enterprise level customers, like Fortune 100 buyers. They're all in charge of innovative, like buying new innovations that are AI innovations for the company, because literally every company is like, this is a mandate from the top, there's an entire department for it. And I ask, and my job is to find out from these people, because I've been hired by a small startup to like figure out how to help them write words that help them sell. And I'm asking these people, how do you and the folks on your teams learn about these new and emerging technologies that you will then sit for an actual demo for? And I'm praying, I'm hoping that they say the words like websites, and they just don't do it. They don't say that anymore, and it hurts my little marketing heart, because that's where all the pretty content is. And I ask them, no, for real, like I understand that you haven't one time looked at the website of this startup with which you have a several $1 million contract. Like, it's blowing my mind. How did you find out about it at first so as to establish a connection, and then every interaction and experience happens individually with people who work there? And they tell me LinkedIn. It's crazy. They follow everybody in the industry. So if you're a CEO who's known in the industry or in the vertical, in the category, whatever, my latest client, they're in industrial robotics. This is like, you're like, whoa, industrial robotics. It's not AI. It's not that sexy, but it's very sexy for the people who work in industrial robotics. They'll follow every single person in the world of industrial robotics, and the CEOs who post about stuff, post about whatever it is they're posting about. It could be tens, hundreds of responses, doesn't need to be thousands, and suddenly you have a demo booked and nobody even went to your website. So it's absolutely super important, founder social media. You don't even have to get to these numbers, and you don't have to have a massive controversy.
And again, I'll repeat my earlier note from my own very small influencer experience, which is just that it's cool to go viral, but it's actually consistency that builds followers over the long term. And as a marketer, it's consistency that builds pipeline. So I think you want both, because you are always looking for new audiences and then coming in. Again, the reason founder is on here instead of just social media is because no one cares about the brand. Right? I'm smiling at my marketing friends. No one cares about the brand handle. They really want a person and a personality. And some of what Nick at Gainsight did so well is there's this personal aspect and this professional aspect. So you form this relationship. And a lot of founders that do this really well. The founder of One Mind is this woman, Amanda, who was the founder of Sixth Sense. And she is stunning in the way she plays. She's sharing about her family. She's sharing about being a woman founder and how a few of them get invested in. She's sharing real, practical, helpful AI innovations about agents. But she's really weaving this thing where you get pulled into this experience where you feel personally connected and then you buy. And some of these companies, the other one, I almost took a job for Alex at Scale AI. The mega company, but it was 2020, so wrong choice by me to not take it. But their company was built almost all on founder sales, through their VCs. And so he's not an example of social media, but the power of founders really, the personality and the relationships building the brand. Do you want to ask us questions? I feel like we're just ranting.
Oh, I mean, well, I won't speak from that, but I'm enjoying everything you guys are talking about.
Okay. Thank you.
Were they clapping because I won't interrupt you?
Yeah, they don't want to
Okay, good.
interrupt.
All right, keep going.
We didn't want to make too many slides, but as marketers, it's helpful to see things. So I'll say the other thing that's successful on social media is customer stories, both the stories, right? Social media is storytelling. What doesn't work about a bunch of things is people being like, my brand did this thing. And congratulations to everyone who works at my company. And did you know, blah, 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 and you're bored and you flip on by it. Anton at Lovable himself has a really good sense. I put LinkedIn here, but Ashley X, he's even better at, and has this brilliant social media guy that helps him write everything and has his voice. But they just take these funny pictures wherever they go, and they have this personality, but so much of it is sharing customer stories and sharing ROI. And so again, back to my first slide, the magic of magic is still the great product and customers who are hottie and sharing that.
Okay, now stop. Because I did look at Anton, I was doing something with LinkedIn, and I was looking at different ways that people were approaching LinkedIn. And with Anton, so he tells a lot of customer stories, and they're short, but there is a difference with the product that makes it better. It's this person owned a pet food store in Ohio for 22 years and thought they could never do X, and now they can, and now they're this. And it's those are different, I think, is where you're getting on the start, because I don't like, the two stories I don't like is, I was talking to one of our customers today. I love that. It's who told them to do that? Anyway, so, and then, and they said, you're the greatest. But the other, the other one is just really dry sort of extensions of our old school case studies. In this case, though, these are these really short hero stories of unsung heroes that are using it. So in many ways, it's the nature of the product, and it works. You know what I mean? Because a lot of customer stories on LinkedIn do not work.
B2C is so much easier to market than B2B. I mean, I'm helping a security company, and we're like, Oh, let's tell some customer stories. Oh, they can't publicly disclose which companies they work for because that's a security threat. Like, oh. So yes, I think Lovable has like a very, people were like, worked at Lovable, can you help me do that? And I'm like, no. Actually, it's a super unique situation where they were like first to market. It's like you get instantaneous, visual, visceral experience. I do think the one thing Lovable's done exceptionally has been to be very design forward. So Lovable is, if you haven't heard about Lovable, it's an AI product for creating websites or designs or mock-ups for product. You talk to a prompt box and it creates within seconds a very nice web page that's visually pleasing. And the whole brand has this like warm heart approachableness. One of the core competitors is Replit, who also has a great product, but is very engineering and design heavy. The experience is like massively different than this kind of like pretty consumer app that looks like a rainbow heart. And so there's a lot of things that you can't replicate, and I think you've got to be kind to yourself at B2B. Sometimes it's helpful to pull on a thread of a person's career. I like some of the best marketers are people who used to be journalists and are trying to look for the hook. Like a classic New York Times article starts with a specific person who lives in New Jersey at this one street, and it tells their story, and then it zooms all the way out to this macro issue, and then at the end kind of ties you back to that person and what's going on in their life. And that's true for marketing and customer stories.
I would also add to that one thing that you're seeing that's common among these examples, despite how varied the examples are, is if you zoom out a little bit, these are people who are, not people, these are brands that in the moment that they're doing it, they're zigging when others zag, like another super whatever idiom that everybody has heard before. But you see it in action, right? So like, okay, this is a founder of a $200 or even $300 million ARR company, but when he posts on LinkedIn, he posts, people sitting in the back of a cab, like with a peace signs, and that's cool and different. It's unexpected. He's zigging where people zag. When he chooses a customer story, he's going to choose the one with the pet food in it and like with the children in it. And when he chooses the designs that he's okay with, like leading their brand in the world, he's going to choose the fuzzy heart, because Replit doesn't have the fuzzy heart, Bolt doesn't have the fuzzy heart, V0 doesn't have the fuzzy heart, and it's going to work right now. If you go home and you change all your stuff to a fuzzy heart, it's not going to work, right? You're trying to zig when others zag in the moment that you exist. Applying that to the edutainment and to the events that we were talking about earlier, and to RSA. The events are amazing. Part of the reason why Carilu is so surprised at how amazing they are is because it's a freaking security conference. You don't expect this, right? You don't expect them to be like super high production value, super clever, jokes, comedians, WrestleMania. They're zigging when others sag. And so if you don't have an RSA budget, you can still zig when others zag. You're putting on a meetup. It's not just a regular meetup anymore. Maybe you're a VC and you're putting on actual dating, actual speed dating. Seems like a compliance risk to me in some format, but they definitely did it. I don't remember which VC firm it was, but around Valentine's Day, they hosted a meetup for founders who were interested in dating each other. That is zigging when others zag, and you can do it too.
Lock them in. We've got 2 investments, and now they're married. Oh, that's so funny. Yes, yeah, and if you don't have customers, one way to make it look like you have customers is to have influencers. So, I mean, this influencer game online, this is like just some snapshots of early influencers that Lovable had on YouTube. But there's influencers on Instagram, and some of the influencers are like genuine, and ClickUp, any of you guys know ClickUp? ClickUp has done a really great job with this too. If you follow ClickUp social media, ClickUp has like one of the best social media games. They've done a couple things. They've hired a comedian in-house who does their Instagram and has like millions and millions of followers around like karaoke about HR violations that could be project managed in ClickUp. And it's so cringe, it's viral. But then also, there's this like Lovable, all these kind of consumer tech AI products, like you can have all sorts of people use them in a real practical and helpful ways, and that creates its own momentum talking about them. And I think influencers are a big game right now. It's just totally changing marketing. And they don't have to be super famous. They can be micro influencers, right? If you're in an area, like I'm a micro influencer for like women CMOs. In B2B tech. Now, I like when someone would be like, you're an influencer, I'll be like this big of an influencer, but like I really like those people and I like know what's on their mind. And so I think that influencers are great if you're smaller, big. Back to our points before, one of the things that's funny about having worked for great brands is that other people think we knew what we were doing. And Atlassian, Lovable, all these companies, a bunch of shit we put out, we have no idea how it's going to turn out. Some of it turns out well, and then everyone gives us credit for it. So one of the ones that we did a whole bunch of hackathons to get people together, but like there was this girl in community who wanted to do a women's only hackathon because women are using AI in much smaller numbers than men, which is a big deal for women in AI. And so we had this women's only hackathon, and she like put it together over the weekend, and she ended up getting a bunch of people that came, and then the people were so excited that it was like viral on LinkedIn because the women were all so excited that they got the chance. And then we just redid the hackathon for International Women's Day in like 22 cities around the world or something. I mean, it really like
on a
went from
Sunday.
Sunday.
On a Sunday, hundreds of women showed up to 22 cities around the United States to do a hackathon for Lovable.
And so again, it wasn't really planned. It was like someone had a random idea and we like zigged and zagged and like pulled it together. I think the thing that's different right now, and I know you guys are seeing it, but the speed is crazy, right? Like OpenAI released a new LLM and gave Lovable like 32 hours notice, and we like started to use it in engineering, and 32 hours later we had a launch video and a whole campaign that went live. It's the fastest campaign I've ever run in my entire life, and I called this friend at OpenAI and was like, what the fuck, can you like tell me something a little bit earlier? And she goes, dude, they're giving me 8 hours notice. Like, they tell me they're gonna ship a product like 8 hours before. And I have this one other CMO who's like, my product team is moving so fast, the product doesn't even tell us what we're gonna launch. I hired a tech evangelist to backward architect what features they did so I can describe them to the market. Like, the speed is crazy. But I definitely think getting your customers together for events is huge. We've talked a ton about out of home. I think, again, everything old is new again. My job at Oracle was out of home advertising. It works if it's consistent, if it's provocative, and if you're sending it to the right people. Do we want to end on other things you shouldn't do?
Yeah, so everybody's talking about taste for a reason, right? It's the level of discernment that when you look at something, you're like, wow, that's really good. It comes from within. And you should also be able to look at something and be like, wow, that's like tremendously mid. Or that's probably an oxymoron. It can't be tremendously mid. Tremendously blah. It's just not very good. The example in the middle I took on a BART. So by the way, I'm like obsessed with this now. Probably 80% of my business, how I pay my mortgage, my kids go to school on this, is startups running out of home. So I feel like it's my job to note every single thing that's going on, every possible place. This is a real BART ad. Going up and down.
I can't see.
I will read it for you, yes. It says, stuck in off hell, there's a better way. And on the left, there's some hellish flames. And on the right, there's like maybe a heavenly like sky. This is not good advertising, right? This is like, you gotta ask ChatGPT, draw me an ad and make it feel like an AI ad. And this is not the outcome that you want to end up with when you're spending a lot of money on out of home. It's a non-trivial investment. The fact that it's everywhere, don't let it fool you. It hasn't gotten any cheaper. In fact, it's incredibly expensive because out of home is anything that's not on your screen in front of you. It's physical, so it's constrained by the physical world. And did you know that in San Francisco, you can't just put up new posters anywhere that you want. You just can't. Because I tried to incubate a business where we would put up new out of home on empty storefronts and immediately ran into this roadblock where 20 years ago, the city passed an ordinance that said no new signs without permits. If you put up a new sign without a permit, it's a $1,000 a day fine. And by the way, they don't grant these permits anymore. That's why it's so expensive. That's why everybody wants it. That's why it's hard to get it, because it's physical real estate. And what you're doing is competing in an open market, just like renters in New York City, just like renters in San Francisco, trying to get an in to a physical object. If you're going to spend the money, because it does work, if you're going to spend the money, just do it right. Do it right. Make sure you have some taste. And if you don't, you just find people in your orbit who have taste. They're all around you.
I kind of hate that because I feel like I'm a person without taste. I'd be like, keep trying shit and someone will like criticize you and you'll do better next time.
Well, thank you guys so much. That was amazing. I think everyone agrees. The other thing that everyone agrees on is that the design, all the design elements for this show were top notch, and I made them all unlovable.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Transaction. Craig and I really appreciate the fact that you've listened all the way to the end. What are you actually doing here? For show notes and other episodes, please visit us at thetransactionpod.com. Like and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other place you get your podcast from. Either you have walked away from your podcast device, or this is playing somewhere in the background. Someone in your house would really like for you to shut this off now.